So I'm going to make this video kind of a quick one because I don't have a perfect comparison and I don't want to waste anyone's time. This 19 is standing in for the Glock 17 and this is the Beretta APX A1. Most people know it as the APX. It was one of Beretta's, in my opinion, worst designs, but they've gone and sort of imagined it from the ground up. So for $650 you get a Glock 17, in this case a 19, but standing in for the 17, with an optics mount plate, a set of optics mounts, paperwork, and a cleaning rod, as well as two 17-round magazines. Right, that's what you get with the Glock for $650. Obviously, you get Glock's polymer sights, and no optic, no light, or any kind of really accessories. You get some back straps, but that's really it. And with the APX here, it comes with a little treasure trove. In fact, this has to be one of the nicest cleaning rods that I've seen come with a handgun in my entire life. So with my version of the APX, and we're talking about my version specifically, for $550, you get a full-size handgun, two 17-round capacity magazines, two rear back straps, an auto loader, which you also get with the Glock. I, forget those. I throw those out. And a Burst Fastfire 3 pistol red dot. So, getting into capacity, obviously, both of these are going to run 17-round magazines. This one obviously can run 15, but, it's a visual aid, not the physical firearm. So 17 rounds is what you get with the Glock. 17 rounds is what you get with the APX. So when we're looking at ergonomics, which is in and of itself, a whole deal, you can clearly see that the APX is designed for human hands and the Glock is designed for a 2x4. In fact, having borderline no texturing, whereas the APX has this beautiful checkering. I hope you can kind of hear that, get an idea of the level of checkering versus not really there. So, when talking about overall capacity, Glocks from the factory get 33-round magazines. The APX gets 21-round magazines. Now, there are versions of the APX that come with a threaded barrel. You can also get options for a threaded barrel with the Glock. So ultimately, that's a draw. But remember, with a red dot, we are still $100 under the value of this Glock with nothing on it. Now, there's something to be said about training, and certainly a good shooter with irons is better than a bad shooter with a red dot. But we have to acknowledge the advantage that pistol optics can give, especially nowadays. And it's certainly there, and it's certainly something to consider when picking up a firearm. So the Beretta APX also has, I believe these are plastic sights, but they are blacked out rears and a tritium front sight. And I'm sure somebody's looked at this and already asked, hey, why is there a radiation sign? Well, this comes with the APX as well as the paperwork. It actually fell out for me, and I did see the radiation there first, and I thought, oh boy, what am I getting myself into? It's just reminding me that this front vial is radioactive, and to comply with all local ordinance laws in relation to disposing of something of that manner, which is important. Always follow your local laws, especially when it comes to things like batteries and radioactive isotopes. Not that people are running around throwing out radioactive isotopes, but I too am guilty of throwing AA's in the trash can. Anyway, so disassembly, all firearms are unloaded before. So for Glock, pull the trigger, pull it back a hair, slide these two little tabs down on each side, and she pops right off. You get a lower, you get a spring and guide rod assembly, and you get, come here, a barrel and a slide. Slide, barrel, lovely. Guide rod and spring, lower receiver. With the APX, it's a bit different, and I'll admit this confused me at first. So with the APX, you don't have to do this part, but pull the trigger, which is what I do, push this pin. You have to put some good pressure on it until this pops out, rotate downwards, slide off, and from there, it comes off like a Glock, captive pin there, barrel pops up and pulls out, and you have your slides. We can compare those. You have your slides. You have your guide rods. This is the Glock. This is the APX. You have your grip modules. Again, this is the Glock. This is the APX. And we'll touch on why I said modules in a minute. And then, of course, you have your barrels, which are almost scarily interchangeable, but I know this one goes to my Glock, and this one goes to my APX. So we'll go ahead and reassemble the Glock. So slide upside down, barrel, slide that into place, slide your guide rod in there, and come on, slide that onto the receiver, functions check, all good to go. And with the Beretta, it is practically the same thing. Slide your barrel in. If I have any depth perception, slide your barrel in. The end with the small cap goes outwards. Pop that on. And slide your receiver, your upper, onto the rails, and it will automatically lock back in place. Locks open, trigger pulls, trigger resets, trigger pulls in. Magazine release seems to work. Alright, so ergonomics, the APX wins. Value, the APX wins. Yes. Yes. So, value and ergonomics, history, and I guess you're used to training with them. I mean, I don't really know what to give the Glock, right? So, ultimately, I think your value is better served with the Beretta. But I think most people are familiar with the Glock, and most people are going to buy what they're familiar with. That said, at the price point of the Beretta, it's worth adventuring out of your comfort zone to see what's out there. And that's what I've been doing more of lately, and I want to bring more of that content to you guys. So with that being said, let's do the trigger pull, and I will let you go. So space, kind of hit a wall, mush, and a brake. Reset, trigger pull, mush, and brake right there at the end. So with the Glock, I mean, everybody pretty much knows you get a 4.5 pound, you get something between the 4.5, 5-ish pound range. So the APX, the current one, the new production, the A1, right, is kind of known for having a bad trigger, and I don't blame people for that. That said, I have about 150 rounds through this gun now, and my trigger has gotten a little bit better. So instantly to a wall, little bit of creep and resistance, a little give, and then it breaks, right? So the reset is about as long as a Glock. Again, this is that wall, a little creep and mush, and then break. It's a very clean break once you start getting rounds through it, but it is a notably heavier pull than the Glock. So let me do those side by side. So we're going to go ahead and get to the walls. And I'm applying the same amount of pressure to both of these. Give or take a little bit, and you can see the Glock trigger is just lighter. So 21 rounds, 33 rounds, ergonomics and cost, history, and I guess abundance. Personally, for me, between these two firearms, in a setting where I consider nothing other than home defense or self-defense, the Glock does not win this situation. The Beretta does. That says I need to put more rounds through the Beretta and see how it does further down the road. I want to do a 500 round review of the Beretta and hopefully get some shooting footage uploaded at some point in the next week or two. So with that being said, I will let you guys go with these two firearms, and I'll talk to you later.